Hello everyone, my name is Noah, and today we are going to be doing a tarot video. Now, I've done tarot reviews in the past like this, and I have had a tarot class on Skillshare, and they're currently not available, but I am working to make them available, so you can definitely check it down below if you're interested in those to see if they're available at the time you watch this. The time of upload, sadly, they are not available, but I am looking to get them relaunched soon. So yes, the reason I decided to do this video was because you guys haven't ever really seen my process for tarot. I shared a little bit in, I'm sorry if you can hear my cat running around, he's playing, a little bit in the most recent, I think it was the most recent studio vlog or the one before that, one of the more recent ones. I shared a little bit of my process, my morning process, where I use the Sacred Creators Oracle and the Numinous Tarot by Chris Ann and Cedar McLeod, respectively. But I haven't really shown how I do tarot, and I thought that would be a fun way to incorporate a little more tarot on my channel and just to do something fun. So this spread, I have it written down, this tag, which is about this spread. I've seen both Kyra Getchell do it and Boho Tarot do it, Don Michelle. And as far as I can understand from what Don Michelle has talked about on Boho Tarot, it started from the Kelly Truth and Story originally. You can go watch Boho Tarot's video if you'd like a full description of where it came from. But yeah, I also, one thing I'm going to be doing differently is I'm going to be setting up the cards differently. It's going to be the same spread, but I'm going to have it in a more camera-friendly angle. I designed my own little spread layout that I'm going to be using, but other than that, it's exactly the same. So, as for tarot, I decided to use Illuminating the Prophecy by Maggie Stiefvater, and my guidebook is actually autographed. Sorry, I forgot the word for that. I did cover up, it has my dead name. I had this signed in 2018, so 4 years ago, so it was before I changed my name to Noah, so we covered that up. But yeah, I'm excited. Despite having used tarot for probably about 5 or 6 years now, I do like to use books like this because I find that, and apparently teeny tiny guidebooks from other decks that were stuck in the big book. Just because I think it's really interesting to read, especially these, to hear what the author was thinking about the cards and how that differs from what I was thinking about the cards. So we have the deck in this bag here. And this is just a bag I made myself quite a while ago. It's nothing special, but I do think it works brilliantly. And I'm going to set it aside before it clunks anymore and makes any more noises. So, yes. And we don't have anything fancy going on in the frame today. No backgrounds or anything, just because this is going to take up a lot of space. I'm probably going to have to move these books as well. But, yeah, so we're going to start by shuffling. This is how I shuffle. Actually, I feel like I have this in the wrong hands. Yes, little boy. He has the zoomies, I think. But this is pretty much how I shuffle. I don't bridge shuffle. I don't, do anything fancy. I just like to shuffle like this, and I think about the question. So we start with, I want a card to represent my past. So I'm going to think about that while I shuffle. And I just kind of go until it feels right. Maybe there will be a jumper. Maybe I will touch a card and be like, ooh, this feels right. Like, for example, this feels like the right choice for the past card. I'm going to put it all the way over there. Move it up just a titch. And then we have a card to represent the present. I love the sounds of shuffled cards. They're so nice. So there's the present. And this spread, from what I understand, seems to be a really great check-in spread. I don't usually do 9-card spreads. This is a bit bigger than my average spread, but now I'm pulling for future. But I really just wanted to try it, and I thought this would be a fun way to share how I do tarot with y'all. As well as I was unsure of what to do for a video this week. Future, future. Or to quote SpongeBob, future, future. Alright, I think that's probably good, yeah. Alright. So now we're going to start pulling the elements, and I'm going to go in the, like, directions, this being north, south, east, west, etc. So in the north is east, and I know there are different associations for the elements and directions and stuff, but this is what I'm working with. So the east is air, or the east is the north. Oh my gosh. All right. We're just having a card vomit, and I don't know where anything goes. So we're going to take a moment. North is earth. So I'm going to take this time to think as I shuffle about what earth means to me, what associations it has. And this card's sticking out, so we're going to use that. Also, by the way, if you're interested in seeing the review I did of this deck, it's one of my earlier videos on this channel, but I will have it linked. So if you're interested, there's that. Now, in the east is air. So I'm going to think about what that means in terms of the tarot and to me. Air. And now we're going to do south, which is fire, a personal favorite of mine. Little boy, yeah, what's up? You've got the zoomies. Hi, can I give you some pets? Yeah, you should put that bushy tail away. You're not a raccoon, you're a baby. Got the zoomies. Got the zoomies. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. All right. Fire. And in these positions, I'm not thinking so much what represents me as fire. It could be what message do I need from the element of fire right now. Whereas with the past, present, and future, I was thinking what represents me in the past, present, and future. I picked a card. And then we have finally, in the elements, water. So what message do I need to hear from the element of water today? I think this was that card that was sticking out, so we're going to go with it. I should have grabbed it rather than pushing it back in, but oh well. All right. So then we have what is helping me right now. And what is hurting me. So the way that this spread is different mainly from the one that everyone else has been using. It's only the shape, but the way it's different is that I'm actually gonna no, it's not too bad. You guys can see them. It's only 3 rows instead of, I think the original is 5. It goes 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. And you can do that with miniature cards, miniature decks, which is great. But I found that it really just doesn't lend itself well to being in a video like this. And a lot of people have used mini decks to do that, to try and help with that. But I wanted to use this deck. I was stubborn. I wanted to use this deck. So, we're going to get started. We have a card that represents my past. Queen of Wands. So, the Queen of Wands is very, very creative, very passionate. I'm going to pull out this and see what she has written. Keywords: creativity, passion, ferocity, confidence. The Queen of Wands breathes fire. She's powerful, ambitious, creative, and she's not afraid of all the challenges that come with those 3 things. Although she can be stubborn, she knows what she wants, after all, and she's pretty sure she knows how best to get it. She attracts others to her because of her generosity of spirit. It can be appealing, too, to hand your problems over to her because she will use her ferocity and passion to tackle them with the same energy as she tackles her own. In fact, she might take them from you against your will, because the queen is so certain that she has the best solution to the problems that it is difficult for her to let a bad situation fester without her interference. This maternal protection is both the best and the worst thing about the Queen of Wands. She's gifted at balancing her own ambitions with the needs of her brood, but she can also be overbearing and vicious when she feels her turf is being threatened. All of the wands make bad enemies, but the queen finds it hard to let go. When you see the queen, remember that all of us are capable of breathing fire. Be certain that the situation needs your steam, and then blast away. So taking that specific interpretation of the Queen of Wands into account, I could also look in this book if I wanted to see what it says. Now, I don't really need to, but I think just for this first one, I am going to give you an example. If I can find the wands. Every book's in a slate. There we go. I flipped right to it. So this is what this looks like. Keywords: magnetic, attractive, feminine leader, sexual fertility, optimistic, self-assured, and upbeat. Key phrases: dedicated to a task, friendly and easygoing, wholeheartedly involved, charismatic and creative, woman who knows where she is going, sexually accomplished, undaunted by a challenge, brightens up the atmosphere, never phased. This says a lot of the same thing. The Queen of Wands knows what she wants and where she is going. And then this one also includes more of a blockage and a current position and a future position. But the future and the current doesn't really apply to us. So we have, as a blockage card, there may be a woman in your social or business circle who is prevailing you from discovering your own popularity. Alternatively, you are so self-assured and dedicated that you might have forgotten to have a vulnerable side. So, the court cards in the Minor Arcana are often thought of as individuals in our lives. Now, I don't usually consider that to be the case, but I think in this case, the person this represents is me in my past, the individual. You might know I have an education background, and I was very, most of us we live in a society where we are told to pick a practical or responsible job. So that was what I chose. I chose teaching, and I did really love teaching, and I was passionate about it, and I still am. But I was so focused on what I needed to do and being a train on the tracks and getting to that destination, I didn't stop to think about what I was doing and how I was doing it. So I think that this card is reminding me that, knowing what you want and doing it isn't always the same as, knowing what you actually want, what you need, that sort of thing. So it's really, you can be really passionate about something and really gung-ho into doing it, but you need to take the time to make sure it's the right choice for you. And by you, I mean me. Of course, if any of this resonates with you, you may take it, but I'm doing this spread for me. So there we go. Then we have present. We have the Page of Cups. Now, the Page of Cups, page energy is very beginning, excitement, and cups is water, emotions, relationships. So this is me. I'm at the cusp of perhaps a relationship or the cusp of greater emotional understanding. And I do, even if I understand a card, I do like to see what people have said about it. So I will probably be looking for every single card. I will try and keep it brief and not read the whole thing to you for, every single one we have. The keywords are emotion, childlike innocence. Like all the pages, the Page of Cups is childlike, but the Page of Cups appears even more childlike than most because she is an emotional creature. She cries easily, laughs easily, loves easily. She approaches the world with childlike delight without a touch of bitterness or judgment. She still believes in the power of dreams and goodness inherent in everyone. She can sometimes frustrate the more practical members of society because she's a die-hard romantic. She's unwilling to compromise on perfection, and anything that falls short of her emotional ideal is likely to be quite upsetting to her. Children love her. She can focus them in a way that she cannot focus herself. When this card appears in your spread, it often means that you should try to channel her youthful dreaminess and emotional openness. Let others see how you're truly feeling. So this is pretty apt because I feel like I have spent a lot of time being more honest with my emotions and how I'm feeling and expressing them to others in a way that is both healing my inner child and creating connections with others. So I do think that this is representative of represents yeah, representative of the work I am doing now. It doesn't necessarily say whether I'm doing it well, doing it poorly, it's just what I'm doing. And then in the future is the Nine of Coins. So the Nine of Coins is frequently known as the wish card, you know, getting your dreams come true. And the downside to this card is often is what you wished for, everything you hoped it would be, or everything you thought it would be. That sort of, oh, you asked for the genie to make you a sandwich, but it turned you into a sandwich instead of giving you a PB&J, that sort of thing. But I would like to see this as this work here and what I've learned from the past will come to a payoff of some sort. Not necessarily a monetary payoff of any kind, but I feel like, you know, perhaps my emotional relationships with people will be more fulfilling. I'll have more opportunities to spend with friends and loved ones and connect with them more deeply. Or I will be, you know, happier in my own life because instead of forcing myself down the train tracks that I have decided on, I can be more honest about my emotional needs and my, you know, less logical side, and will be rewarded for that by my choices. So yeah, that's how I'm interpreting these three. And one thing I would recommend is writing all this down if you want. Since I'm recording this, I don't really feel the need to write it down, at least not right now. I may come back later, listen to myself, and write it down. So then we're going to go into the four elements. I'm going to actually start with air in the east. We have the moon. This is one of my favorite cards in this deck. So the moon is a very dreamy, not quite, it's a very liminal card. It is, you're kind of afraid of things that may or may not be there. Like if you're walking down the street at night and you see shadows, you can't tell maybe if it's a person or just a shadow. So these are all the sorts of things I think about when I am, you know, pulling cards. So I think for me, air right now, air is the suit of communication. It's the suit of the swords, logic. Now I know that water is communication, but that's more like relationship communication. And air is like, I'm telling you the news type of communication. Some people don't really consider communication to be a part of the cups. It's more just connection and relationships, but I do consider that communication in that way, which is why I love tarot, because it's slightly different for everybody, even though there are several more standardized not rules, but guideline sets. So I would say for this, I am in air. I'm having a hard time communicating my needs, perhaps because I'm not sure what I want. So perhaps I need to take some time and really study that and understand who I am, where I am in my life, and what that means for me. And be honest with people when they ask me about things, you know, in my life or just in general. I need to, you know, to be honest, I need to understand what's really going on. And I need to be willing to not be afraid of how they might react and just put myself out there, which is something I have been working on as well. So then for fire, we have very appropriately the Knight of Wands. Now, wands are the air... No, the wands are... See, that's tricky. There's a sword for wands. So that tricked me. The wands are the fire suit, and I would consider the Knight the fieriest of the four court cards. So we've got a lot of fire going on here. I am going to look and see what she says about the Knight of Wands. And this was actually the deck that both helped me understand the pentacle suit or the coin suit, and also kind of made the wands my favorite suit, although lately I have been kind of leaning more towards the pentacles or coins. So we have energetic, daring, confident, charming. All knights are fast movers, and the Knight of Wands is no exception. The knight completely believes in herself and her interests, and as such there is no doubt to slow her down. She barrels into situations with all guns blazing, pulling everyone's attention to her, as only someone who is truly self-confident can. She has plenty of friends because she is just as willing to blaze a righteous path of fury on someone else's behalf. It is easy to be bowled over by the Knight of Wands. You're not sure if you love or hate her as she overwhelms you with her daring and self-belief. Sometimes when this card appears, it means that you should try to channel that fearless speed of the knight. With your beliefs firmly in tow, act now with a grin on your face, your hat cocked rakishly. Sometimes, however, it is a warning. The knight can be a little too reckless, and sometimes rushing into a situation with nothing but charm and a promise will get you in trouble. Make sure the ground is solid beneath your feet before galloping over it. The flaming sword in this card reminds you of all that can be accomplished with a powerful swing of a confident weapon. Remember to use the sword for others as well as yourself, because that's what keeps this knight a hero. So I think this is interesting because as a person, I wish I could be a lot more bold in my life and, you know, very outspoken. And it can maybe kind of seem that way with the reels that I make, because to me those are very outspoken, you know, educating on LGBTQ plus rights and that sort of thing. But I have a very hard time standing up in front of a crowd, you know, with people behind me and being like, you shall not pass, you know, I protect these people. So I think that this card is reminding me that as much as I want to be this fiery Knight of Wands type person with the energy of just rushing forth, enveloping everyone to protect them and slay all their enemies, I can't really be that person, nor should I be that person. Now, there are people that move between the Knight of Wands and the other end of the spectrum, which I would say is pretty much like a rock. Lethargic, not doing anything. Just, maybe not even a rock, because they stand their ground, but you know what I mean. Between the absolute Knight of Wands energy and the absolute opposite. People fall different places within that spectrum. So I should be aware of my place on the spectrum and really hone that. And I think it's probably a little further away from the Knight of Wands than I, you know, sort of idealize, but that doesn't mean my place as a person and my energy is invalid. And I also think that it's reminding me to embrace my fire energy, which is something I have been doing within the past year or so. So now we're going to move on to water, and we pull death. So two things. One, water is a suit of emotions and relationships and connection. So that is the lens that we should be looking at this card through. Death is my favorite card, not in this set, but out of the entire tarot, because I love the idea of that evolution, of the change, of, oh, you bury it in the ground and the flesh, you know, biodegrades and falls away, and eventually you're left with bones, and then eventually even the bones will be gone, that sort of thing. So one thing that I struggle with in terms of death is, and I think everybody can struggle with this from time to time, I'm sure everybody does, is A, being scared of change, and I feel like that's what comes up for me the most, and B, trying to force change when change is just not happening. That was something I really struggled with this spring. I was trying to force a lot of things to happen in my business that I was, in my creative journey as well, that I was not really ready for, or, you know, just weren't happening yet. So I had to kind of learn to wait for that change to happen. So the idea of just waiting for that change. So within water and communication, that really says to me emotional evolution of relationships with people, how maybe friendships fade away, friendships grow back, or friendships will fade away and die, or maybe new friendships will take place, or existing friendships or relationships will evolve. So I'm not specifically sure exactly how that relates to my life right at this second, but that is what I am getting out of it right now, is evolution of relationships in whatever form that will take. So now we're going to go finally to Earth. We have the Hierophant. The Hierophant is a teacher, but he is, first of all, in the original Rider-Waite-Smith, which is what this deck is based off of as far as I know, the Hierophant is a religious leader, maybe not a pope, but, you know, perhaps a pope, some sort of religious leader, authority, teaching people. So while the Hierophant does talk about knowledge and acquisition of knowledge, it often talks about finding a teacher or being stuck in the status quo as a negative. So I think that for Earth, I am getting the sense of be grounded in what you know, but don't let yourself be buried by it. So that would be the status quo sort of thing. You know, I know all these things maybe about art, about business, but the sentiment of, well, it's always been done this way is not a good enough reason to keep doing things that do not serve me. So that's what I'm getting out of the Hierophant in the position of Earth. So we're going to move on to what's helping me or aiding me right now, and we have the Devil. That's interesting. Now, the Devil isn't literally the devil. The devil is in my opinion, how I interpret the devil, it is more of you're your own worst enemy. You know, a lot of your issues come from within inside you. Obviously, that doesn't account for things like structural inequality or anything like that, but like you have these issues that perhaps occurred because of trauma, or, you know, it's something you learned in life and they're bad habits that you need to break, these harmful patterns. So I would say right now, being aware of that feeling, or of that, being aware of the fact that, you know, I have harmful patterns that I have created in my life as survival mechanisms, as habits, as whatever, knowing that those exist and trying to dismantle them, being a part of that, all this work that I'm doing here is what's helping me, being aware of that. So then we flip over to the Four of Wands for what is hurting me or not helping me. So I'm going to open up to the Four of Wands. Perhaps if I can find the wands. I think it's actually at the very back of the book. Yes. Because if I remember correctly, she saved them for the last because they were her favorite. So, keywords: stability, resting, happiness, first completion. I thought that said contemplation. First completion. Like all fours, the Four of Wands represents stability of some kind. In many decks, the art on this card features a wedding. I actually pulled... Hold on one second. I pulled this card today from the Numinous Tarot in the position of what to lean into, what's helping me. So I've pulled this in the what's helping me and what's hurting me position now, both today. Obviously from different decks. This is the Numinous Tarot by Cedar McLeod. So this says, a wedding is both an ending and a beginning, end of a courtship, beginning of a life together. It is a joyful resting spot, but it's not a place to stay. The Four of Wands signals some kind of completion, a moment to pause and admire what you've accomplished, often with your friends. You felt the creative fire in the Ace, tamed it in the 2, established it in the 3, and now you find yourself in the agreeable liminal space of the 4. I've chosen 4 candles for the art, firstly because they are a stable form of fire of the first 3 cards, and secondly because I tend to read this card with a slightly more dissatisfaction than most. I'm a restless soul, always jonesing for the next thing, and any sort of pause tends to make me itchy. It's good to learn to appreciate the pleasant celebration of this card. There's nothing wrong with longing for it after the work of the first 3 wands in the suits, but 4 diminutive candles are far from the endgame of the fiery potential within you. Enjoy the moment, but keep your eyes up. There's farther to go. So that's kind of exactly how I was thinking of this card as well, especially having pulled it as what's helping me and what's hindering me. I think partially the way I interpreted this card this morning, it was, you know, take a moment, celebrate how far you've come, take a rest, and then get going. Like, I need to remember to rest because, much like Maggie Stiefvater says in the book, I don't tend to want to take breaks. I want to keep going. But also, I think doing that, having said that, I have a tendency to get stuck in this Four of Wands. Once I finally get myself to take a break, since it's been so long since I've taken a break, I just want to rest forever. I don't want to get going. So I think I need to find that healthy balance where it really is, I can take breaks that are shorter and more frequent so that I don't get stuck or bogged down in the taking of the break. So yeah, that's this spread. I had a lot of fun with it. I really think that this is a great spread to try. Even if you're new to tarot, you could break it down in chunks, maybe do the past, present, future all at once, and then do the 4 elements, and then do these separately, do them in 3 parts, or do them all at once and just kind of take your time interpreting, flip them all over, take a picture, come back to it as you want. You know, that's fine. I don't think that it needs to be done all at once, but if you are chunking it up, I would definitely record your thoughts in some way so that you remember what you've said. Whether it's written down, it's audio recording, whatever it is, would recommend keeping some sort of record. But yeah, that was the video. I really had fun with this. If you do this spread, please let me know. Check out the tag, That 9-Card Spread. There are a lot of other people who have done this, and I think it would be great fun to see what everybody's talking about and how they're checking in with themselves. So yeah, I hope that you guys are all having a really great day. Be sure to follow me here or on Instagram. I am Stet_studio there, and on TikTok I am just Stet Studio. You can check me out on my website, www.stetstudio.com. And yeah, be sure to like and subscribe if you'd like to see more tarot content. Have you ever done this spread? I'd love to hear from you about what you think, how you would have interpreted the cards. I love to hear sometimes when people interpret cards, I'm like, oh, well, I would have interpreted it this way. That doesn't mean that their interpretation is wrong. I just love to hear how differently we all think about tarot. I think that's really interesting. So yeah, I'd love to hear from y'all. And like I said, I hope you all are having a really great day. Goodbye.